probably seen reports of the first big winter storm of the season headed our way. And to give us the latest and always some of the most accurate projections on what's ahead, on the phone we have Jacob Meisel of SWCTweather.com. Jacob, thanks so much for finding time for us today. I'm sure you're busy tracking this storm.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, so Jacob, first let's talk timing and accumulation. What's the latest for our area of Connecticut?
So the latest with the storm, we've seen pretty dramatic changes with this forecast over the past 12 to 18 hours. We're now expecting light to moderate scattered snow showers breaking out as early as 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. Previously, it looked like the storm might hold off until 5 or 6, but we're really expecting accumulating snow, kind of scattered snow showers by 2 or 3 a.m. Steadier snow then moves in by 6 or 7 a.m., and we really start to see conditions go downhill by around that morning commute.
So you're seeing, from what it sounds like, you're seeing this affecting schools and, of course, the morning commute, yes?
Yes, absolutely. We're expecting more significant impacts at this point than we were yesterday because both accumulation forecasts have risen and the timing of the storm, it's sped up a bit on the front end. So between those two things, it looks like we're really going to see some disruptive impacts tomorrow morning.
Now, are we seeing big accumulation differences in different parts of the state? How's that looking right now?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of our forecast, and that's part of why this is still what we call a low confidence snow forecast, and that there are a lot of things that could really change over the next 12 hours. Our current forecast is for 5 to 10 inches of snow across New Haven County, 4 to 8 inches across Fairfield County, and we also forecast for Westchester County, we're looking at only 3 to 6. And what that opens up the potential for is as little as 3 inches of snow in Westchester County and as much as 10 inches of snow, or maybe even a little bit more in parts of New Haven County, because you're going to see some very intense banding as this storm rapidly intensifies. That could make snowfall rates of 1+ inch per hour possible across areas of New Haven County later tomorrow morning and really boost those snowfall totals compared to other parts of the state, probably further west, where we won't see as much intense banding.
Now, Jacob, we're hearing a lot about the wind in this storm. I think I'm seeing the term bomb cyclone thrown around. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so this storm is going to very rapidly intensify offshore. And the good news here is it looks to be far enough offshore that we're not going to see very severe winds. This isn't the type of thing where you'd be talking about widespread power outages or very severe issues with the wind. Yet we are worried at the coast that we could see wind gusts up to around 40, 45 miles per hour combined with snow. You could start to see isolated and to maybe scattered power outages. Not anything too widespread, but the real concern here is that behind this storm, you're going to get some really wicked cold. You're going to be seeing low temperatures, Friday night especially, getting down inland below zero with wind chills in the negative teens possible. So anyone across the region, especially in coastal areas, should prepare or at least set up for that scenario in which there are a few isolated scattered power outages with these winds, because the severe cold behind is you're going to need to prepare in advance for that.
Now, you mentioned the freezing temperatures. I mean, it just seems to be unrelenting recently, this cold weather we're getting. I mean, when do we have any relief headed our way? And is this a new record just about the amount of time that it's been this cold?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've been setting records in terms of both duration and intensity of this cold. The good news is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to see one more strong cold blast behind the storm over the weekend, some moderation next week, but the longer-term forecasts I'm looking at, out past 10 days especially, show a very significant amount of moderation for the region, and there's a good risk that the second half of the month we actually end up above average. The cold looks to refocus as we move through the month back further towards the Midwest. We'll begin to see more warmth across the east. Still we'll have some cold shots, still we'll have some threats of winter weather, but this kind of very sustained cold that we've seen this past week and a half definitely does look to ease as we move forward through January.
And Jacob, as far as tomorrow's storm and what's going to happen, what time do you think you'll have a firmer idea of exactly the amount of snow and when it's going to be hitting?
This is one of those events where, as the storm develops, you're going to be seeing where some of the most intense banding sets up. So it's going to be an around-the-clock live observational type event. That being said, this afternoon we're having a number of our key short-term weather models come out that should confirm some of the overnight trends that trended snowier. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to kind of nail down late this afternoon, early this evening, exactly what regions are most at threat for the heaviest banding and the highest accumulation. There's still a massive spread in some of our model guidance, with some models printing out anywhere from, I'd pick New Haven County specifically, from 4 inches to over 12 inches of snow being possible. So it is something that we'll have to whittle away at, but right now our forecast is kind of right in the middle of the consensus and takes into account that potential for a bit more intense banding. Any small shift in the storm track over the next 12 hours, though, and you're going to see that kind of tight snowfall gradient shift across the region.
All right, Jacob, last question. Because of the low temperatures that are moving in after this storm, do you see it affecting schools potentially on Friday as well if we do get some of this accumulation?
That's something that we're also following. There is a chance of school impacts on Friday. Now, exactly what those impacts will be will depend on how significant accumulations are as well. If we end up seeing accumulations in that higher end 8, 10, 12 inch range, then you could definitely see carryover delays or even closures into the day on Friday. Already we were watching the potential for some schools to have to delay on Friday just due to the severity of the cold and the blustery winds. You're going to have wind chills below zero early Friday morning, and oftentimes schools will delay to make sure that students aren't waiting out in the dark and the cold and have an extra few hours for it to warm up a bit. So delays are certainly on the table for Friday, and in some of the worst accumulation scenarios with this storm, we could even see carryover cancellations as well.
All right, Jacob Meisel, we'll be following the latest from you on Twitter, SWCT Weather, and your website. You always do such a great job. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much for having me again.
All right, thank you, Jacob.